Chris, Ben, hey, congratulations on your new short film, Undeletable.
Thank you.
Now, right now it's being showcased at film festivals. I mean, how do you guys how is it so far showcasing this film to audiences?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, we love sharing our work with, well, anybody, but particularly film festival audiences. It's really nice to kind of like know that you're showing to people who are hungry for new stories. That's always fun. So, yeah.
What about for you, Chris?
Um, yeah, it's always the thing you don't quite realize when you watch films at home is how much the theatrical experience means something. So a lot of the time, obviously, you only watch a film once, and you don't quite get to know that it plays differently every single time you watch it, and it can be a really, really different experience just depending on who's in the room and yeah, just how it's captured everyone. So it's always brilliant to see it because you kind of get to see the range of how far it plays, you know? So yeah, I love watching with audiences.
Very awesome. So I guess we'll start off with that obligatory question of where the original idea came from for Undeletable. And I'm certain there's a funny story behind this, right?
Yeah, funny, tragic story. Yeah, I mean, it's a true story. Uh, it's that sort of was me, leaving a message for, my dad's mistress after he died, and discovering halfway through the phone call that the kind of pressing one to delete and start again the message is not a universal thing. And yeah, so sadly, tragically, hilariously, that's pretty much the message that I left for her, which is not, wasn't the, I'm not proud of that moment, but it did make me laugh. So, yeah, it just sort of stuck in our heads. It's like that would always be. I don't know. I think there's like it's funny actually looking back over our short films, um, in different ways. Kind of mobile phones do seem to plague us, and I think there is. I think there's something about the kind of faceless technology that kind of slightly freaks us out. So yeah, it's traps that we fall into in life and then turn into art. So yeah.
So taking this real life experience, how did you want to craft the story into this dark, humorous short film?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, so I mean, obviously the biggest kind of change between reality and the film is casting Sophia, who obviously isn't natural casting for me, sadly for me. But I think that was and like from the minute that we sort of started writing it down, it was very clear that, yeah, I sort of wanted to not turn myself into a woman, but to have the main character not be me in that kind of clear way. It felt kind of freeing and useful. And then that sort of, it's that thing of like it just creates enough creative space to then for it to then be a story and then not worrying about how real it's kind of like it doesn't matter if it's exactly what happened or if the edges blur to kind of make things funnier or sadder where necessary. And it also, I think it was an easier thing to ask a performer to do, to come and play a character rather than asking someone to come and be me. And so, like, she was able to kind of like, I hope, like, sort of talked a lot about the reality of it. And I hope that she was able to draw some stuff out of us, reflect some of our emotions back to us, but I also hope there's a lot of space in there for her to bring herself. And I mean, she really, the film lives or dies on her performance. So, like you want to make certain that you're giving an actor the space to play and to really do something rather than just kind of like going, right, see this wonky face, do exactly that. It's like that's not interesting. So
Yeah, so Sophia is such a talent, especially she has blown up since the Loki series. But tell tell us on how you got her to board this project. Did you always have Sophia in mind? You had to pitch it to her, friends of yours? I mean, what was that path?
Yeah, so we've known her for, or kind of like, no, sort of, I'm trying to think quite where
But
we've,
first time I kind of paid attention to her was a short film that Kate Herron, who did Loki with her,
yeah.
that she made with Sophia, which is a great short that Kate asked us some advice on the cut that she did. And yeah, so she'd always been sort of stuck in her head since then. And I can't remember exactly how or why we got in touch. I think it was via social media that she actually got in touch with us to say
Yeah, I
hi.
think originally, and I think like yeah, actually, not I think I know that at some point she reached out to us on Twitter and was like, "I'd love to work with you guys," and we were like, "Well, obviously, we'd love to work with you." And there was what was it? There was a different project, and we were just about we kind of like asked her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to do that." And then there was like the usual delay in things, and then she came back and was like, "I'm really sorry, but I've just got this Marvel thing. I have to go. I can't turn it down. I'm really, really." And we were like, "Yeah, no, you've got to go and do that." So, yeah, obviously she then went off and became a superhero. So that was, but yeah, so it's kind of like so we've sort of wanted to do something together forever. And then when this came up, it just seemed like a natural fit. So we just sort of reached back out to her, and she, thankfully was in the country and excited to pick up where we'd left off. So yeah.
Now, after scoring Sophia onto your project, obviously she made time for your short film. I always find that one thing is to do comedy is hard, but then another thing is to do drama is also hard. But then to do a grief comedy, I mean, how do you get her into that? I mean, direct a person to get into that headspace of a grief comedy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she's done that sort of, like I don't know if you saw her in Flowers, like she's definitely that wasn't particularly the kind of the that she's got that in her. You know that she's got that range. You know that she kind of knows how to kind of make you laugh and then break your heart. Actually, the thing that kind of she hadn't done was the kind of unbroken take. And we hadn't, this was, we've sort of done long takes and things before, but there's nothing quite like this, nothing that's sort of so performance based in one take
Yeah.
and that was definitely an interesting challenge and sort of realizing kind of effectively how she had to edit it in camera, like how we had to kind of work out, because so often with an edit, you're controlling the tempo, you're kind of, and so particularly, actually with that sort of grief comedy, there is a lot of that rhythm you kind of want to be slightly off. You kind of want it to be, leaving the audience down this way, and then suddenly you take a couple of steps sideways. And so, like the feature film we made, Nina Forever, that is a lot of grief and a lot of dark comedy. And I think a lot of that we found in the edit, and it was it was interesting then being there on the side of the road and realizing, oh, we're not letting ourselves do it in the edit, so we have to find that here and now as we walk up the hill. That was a challenge, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it was. And just walking backwards was hard enough.
I was going to bring up the I wanted to ask is about the decision of doing a one take shot of your short film, because not only that, it was also challenging the fact that her entire monologue scene is like nearly 6 minutes, and that's also very tough on somebody to memorize, their lines and spew it out for 6 minutes. So tell us about the decision to make it as a one take scene, because that must have been not an easy thing unless you wanted to truly want to be unique in this aspect.
I think we always just wanted to have that feeling of there's something about when you don't cut that you automatically you're keeping the tension going and you've got that sense of especially with this one where you're going you just she's feeling trapped, and it's kind of like we're not letting her out of that space of where you're just going, this is going horribly wrong and I don't know what to do. And you're kind of like, if you sometimes if you do an edit, you release the tension. And so here it was very much like, yeah, if we can do it in one, then we would really love to, for sure. And I mean, actually, to be honest, I think it was like from take one that she was off book. She
Yeah.
nailed in terms of the words, and then it was just getting to refine the performance each time, really.
So in the end, how many takes did it actually took her for to get it this right?
So the first one where it was like, oh, that's really nailed it, was I think take eight. Like there were
Yeah.
a few, but I mean, when I was saying take eight, there's like I think we did 17 in all, but actually most of them didn't actually go the full length because something went wrong along the way, and there's no point carrying on shooting if you get something wrong.
Yeah.
So I think in reality we probably did about eight, all the way through, and yeah, the first one that really sung was take, go nine. I don't know how many takes, actual like full length takes we'd got by that point, but there's something about, because we weren't locking the road off or anything like that. We were genuinely wanting to do something that felt in the space itself, and so having the world around us actually live felt great and actually really added to it. And yeah, so that take, which is not the take that we ended up using, but that was the first one where it was like, oh, the world has done something really cool. Like sometimes there was that sometimes we'd do the take and we'd get all the way through it, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that felt good, but also it was a little flat because just the timing of the cars going past or people in the backgrounds, just whatever was going on, it wasn't as fun, and it's kind of like there's so often with filmmaking, we try and take everything out and then put it all back in post-production. And here it's like, well, we kind of want it to happen now. And yeah, so when it was a kind of like, oh, that was technically perfect, it was like, yeah, but it was a bit dull. So yeah, we kept going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that was most interesting, especially the fact that this is a walking scene. Like you could have done this, like a sitting scene, which is much easier. Then you don't have to move your cameras. But you want this was on purpose because you wanted the background scenery to actually change as if like the world is continuing on. Then
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 And that, I mean, that's the actual exact bit of street where I left the message originally. So it also felt kind of right that, yeah, that street played a role, you know? It's like that's the street where the real man used to walk up and down all the time. So it felt, his ghost is in there somewhere. So,
now, how about the decision of making this as a black and white thing? Because artistically, people make decision based on artistic type of decisions, or sometimes maybe it's a part of a like a grieving process or so on. But I wanted to hear from you, gentlemen, on the decision of making it a black and white rather than color.
It was to make it feel starker. We weren't, like, we didn't know for sure. We had a feeling that we probably wanted to do it black and white, but we shot it in color on a video camera, and so we had the choice in post when we were watching it back. So we actually watched it back with Sophia, the takes that were the good takes, and we watched them in color and in black and white to try and figure out which way to be going. And it sort of felt right. There was something about it that it's more beautiful for a start. It's something that it just elevates the space by taking away something unnecessary. Like a lot of the time when you're trying to make something feel cinematic, it's trying to take away stuff rather than necessarily adding more stuff. It's kind of, you want to find the simplicity. And so yeah, the black and white really helped that side of it. And yeah. Yeah, but it was always, we always knew that we wanted to be in like the 1:3:3 aspect ratio because we wanted to trap her in again. It's, trying to not let, um, yeah, not give her the space, basically.
yeah. And there's also something like I think it's interesting, um, the perspective of it because like some of some of the sound we sort of very deliberately like we recorded. Um, so I was booming it, and then we also recorded it directly into the phone. And then on some of the takes, we also had a personal mic, but that stopped working. But so there was, in most takes, there was at least kind of three different sources of sound, which we then kind of in the mix with Steve Bond, who mixed it, we kind of did, we sort of thought a lot about where the perspective is. And I do think that a lot of the time you are actually with Susie, you are actually with the woman hearing this message as much as you are with the woman leaving the message. And it kind of like, I think there's something about the black and white that also, um, yeah, just sort of thins it out and makes it feel a bit more like you're just hearing this through, you know, it's sort of the visual equivalent of that kind of distortion that you get down a phone, you know, and that kind of that kind of like you're having to lean in a bit to hear it, you know, and in the same way you're having to kind of like, oh, it's not all there for me. I'm having to stare at this and try and make out what is she actually? Oh shit, really?
Now, for the both of you, can you talk about your filmmaking, experience and relationship, over the years? What got you started, and why do you both love working together on projects, or do you
Uh,
not?
we
See, we're in
started
different
when
rooms, yeah.
yeah we've grown up. Yeah, no, we started out. We were at school still, and I saved up to buy a camera to do animation with, actually. I thought I was going to be an animator. And Ben had written this script with his mate Keith and was like, hey, do you fancy making this film over the summer with us, with your camera? And so we did. We got all of our friends from school to mess around. We're doing it all in the local woods and up and down. Actually, the final scene in the film is on that street, and yeah, it was just really good fun. And we managed to sell the film that we made. Got banned by our school for blasphemy, and so we managed to sell it on VHS tapes to everybody at school on the black market and made a profit. And we were like, oh, this filmmaking malarkey is really easy. And yeah, so we started making short films and then lost a lot of money for quite a long time, until we started making, we got into television and was editing a lot of stuff like that. And then we made our first feature, Nina, a few years back. And yeah, we still love making shorts though. So, it's like, um, it doesn't really matter the size or scale of a thing. It's just kind of, there's just something really enjoyable about, yeah, getting a camera up and doing something new.
Yeah, I think also like it's nice having to accept that creativity is shared because and like I think it really, really is. And I think that we have this myth that in all sorts of art forms, to be honest, we have this myth of the kind of like the solo artist. And like we did like um a few years ago, we did a little documentary thing with Ai Weiwei, and it was really fascinating going to his kind of bunker in Berlin and realizing that kind of again he has a whole team of artists that he works with, and like Ai Weiwei is in some to some degree an exercise in branding, and like on one level you sort of realize that and you're kind of like you feel a bit cheated. You're like, what? I thought there was this solo genius, and you go, but you know that art doesn't work that way. Art is a collaboration. And so it's sort of been quite nice that I don't think either of us have ever really been able to sort of hide behind any mistake of our own unique genius. It's always been sort of unavoidable that kind of like, oh, we need each other. And actually every like and like this one we was sort of particularly stripped back, but like we the people that creatively fed into this project, Sophia and Steve and all the rest is kind of like the fun part is working with them, and it's kind of like you need that bounce back and forth. And again, like as Chris said at the start, it's like you watch a film with a different audience and you have a different experience. And actually, the kind of like part of the collaboration is with the audience. And you kind of, like I think again, filmmakers often have this sort of bizarre arrogance that it's kind of like, oh, they've misunderstood my film. And you go, but it isn't your film. Like they've watched their film. Like that's what's happened. It's like it does belong to us now, and it's like, when you think of kind of like you know, how much fans take things to heart, you go, yeah, it's because it is theirs, like it's not, they're not obsessed with your thing. Your thing has opened the door to their obsession for their thing. Like that's how that works. It is, yeah. So yeah, it is a collaboration.
Well said. And for audiences everywhere, where in the future that they will have a chance to watch this film?
Yes,
Possibly.
yes,
So
I
it's
should have the list. I don't have the list. Do you have the list?
Sheffield on tomorrow, Saturday. Playing at the I've
Spirit
forgotten
of
the name of the
Spirit of Independence, not
Spirit
Independence.
of Independence Festival. And then it's playing in Bolton next week on Wednesday, which I think we're going to. And then yeah, I'll have to actually bring up the rest of the list because I can't remember them off the top of my head.
But
But yeah,
many
it's
film festivals.
yeah, a whole bunch of film festivals, and then hopefully we, at some point we'll be bringing it online with somebody special, hopefully.
Yeah, for
Well
sure.
said. Well, let me wrap it up with one last question. Ben, this is for you because now you just sparked my interest is um, since this is based off your story and you left that message, did that lover ever contacted you back about that message or that was the last of it?
Very sadly, or for the best, I don't know. Yeah, no, that was she never got back to me, which I can understand, She's probably gone now as well. Who knows? But
Well, you know what? That's always the ending, especially on awkward relationships like that. So,
who knows? Maybe after this, maybe I'll get an email and it turns out that she's seen this and she's
yeah,
we'll find. Yeah.
who knows? Chris, Ben, thank you very much for speaking to us about Undeletable, and let's do this again down the road.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely, man. Thank you.